Imagine a world plunged once again into the depths of global conflict. Could we be on the brink of World War III? This is not a question posed lightly. The current state of international relations is fraught with tension. From the west to the east, north to the south, the global chessboard is set and the pieces are moving. It's a game of power, influence and control where the stakes are higher than ever before. New technologies have changed the nature of warfare. This is not the age of trenches and bayonets anymore. This is the age of nuclear weapons, of cyber warfare, of artificial intelligence. Nuclear weapons have the power to annihilate entire cities in the blink of an eye. Their destructive capacity is beyond comprehension, yet these weapons of mass destruction are not the only threat we face. In the digital age, cyber warfare has emerged as a potent weapon. Cyber attacks can cripple a nation's infrastructure, disrupt its economy, and sow discord among its people. They can be launched from anywhere in the world by state actors or rogue elements, making them incredibly difficult to trace and counter. Then there's artificial intelligence. On the one hand, it promises to revolutionize every aspect of our lives. On the other hand, it brings with it the specter of autonomous weapons, machines programmed to kill. The ethical implications are profound, and the potential for misuse is frightening. Yet, amidst this uncertainty, one thing is clear. If World War III were to break out, it would be unlike anything we have ever seen before. It would be a war fought on land, in the air, at sea, in cyberspace, and possibly even in space. The world is more interconnected than ever before. A conflict of this magnitude would have repercussions that would touch every corner of the globe. It's a chilling prospect, but it's one we must confront if we are to prevent it from becoming a reality. Our world teeters on the brink of chaos, but how would this chaos unfold? The first sparks of war are often the most unpredictable, yet they set the stage for the conflict to come. The flame that could ignite World War III is likely to emerge from the most unassuming of circumstances, a seemingly minor event that reverberates across the globe, echoing the shot that rang out in Sarajevo in 1914, triggering the First World War. In our interconnected world, the catalyst could take many forms. A political assassination, for instance, could plunge nations into a vortex of retaliation and counter-retaliation. Imagine a world leader taken out by a rogue faction and the ripple effect it would have on alliances, treaties, and international relations. Alternatively, the first spark could arise from territorial disputes, a centuries-old source of conflict. In recent years, we've seen tensions simmering in the South China Sea, the Arctic, and on the borders of Russia and Eastern Europe. It's not hard to imagine a minor skirmish escalating rapidly into full-blown conflict, especially with national pride and resources at stake. Then there's the digital battlefield. In this era of information, a cyber attack could be the spark that sets the world ablaze. Imagine power grids going down, financial systems collapsing, or military secrets exposed. In a world that's so dependent on technology, such an attack could be just as devastating as any physical assault. So where exactly does this leave us? In a world where power is shifting, alliances are evolving, and technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace, the potential for conflict is ever present. The first sparks of World War III could come from any direction at any time. As we navigate this uncertain landscape, it's important to remember, conflict isn't inevitable. The first sparks don't have to ignite a global inferno, but if they do, what would be the immediate consequences? The answer to that question is a chilling glimpse into a future we all hope never to see. In the aftermath of the initial conflict, the world would be in shock, but what would happen next? Imagine the day after the unthinkable, the morning after chaos is unleashed. The immediate fallout of World War III would be felt far beyond the battlefields, reaching the corners of the earth untouched by the physical conflict. Firstly, we'd quickly see a global economic collapse. The world's economies are intricately interconnected, like a delicate spider's web. If one thread snaps, the entire structure is compromised. Financial markets would plummet, creating a domino effect that would ripple across the globe. Entire industries would crumble overnight. No one, not even the wealthiest nations, would be immune to the economic shockwaves. This would not be a recession, it would be a depression on an unprecedented scale. In tandem with the economic fallout, we would see mass displacement of people. War zones would become unlivable, forcing millions to flee their homes in search of safety. The world would witness a migrant crisis, unlike any other in history. Cities, towns, and entire countries would be overwhelmed by refugees, leading to a humanitarian crisis of unimaginable proportions. As if the economic collapse and humanitarian crisis weren't enough, international relations would be strained to the breaking point. Alliances would be tested and perhaps broken. Trust between nations would evaporate, replaced by suspicion and fear. The global community, once united by common goals and mutual respect, would splinter into factions, each fighting for their own survival. These immediate effects of World War III would not be contained within the borders of the warring nations. They would spread like a wildfire, consuming everything in their path. Entire societies would be upended, lives would be changed forever, and the world as we know it would be unrecognizable. The world would be in chaos, but the war would be far from over. As nations mobilize for war, the gears of the war machine begin to turn. In a world on the precipice of a hypothetical World War III, we'd see a rapid mobilization of global militaries. Nations across the globe would be rallying their troops, amassing their arsenals, and preparing for the unthinkable. In the tapestry of this global conflict, alliances would play a pivotal role. As we've seen in the past, alliances can both deter and propel wars. On one hand, they can serve as a deterrent by creating a network of mutual defense. If one nation is attacked, its allies are obligated to come to its defense. On the other hand, alliances can also escalate a regional conflict into a global one, as was the case with the First World War. In our modern era, the character of warfare has dramatically evolved. We're no longer confined to battles fought on land, sea, and air. The digital realm has become a new battleground. Cyber warfare could potentially cripple a nation's infrastructure without a single bullet being fired. Artificial intelligence could be harnessed to develop autonomous weapons systems, the likes of which we've never seen before. And let's not forget about space, with nations increasingly expanding their presence beyond the Earth's atmosphere. The potential for space warfare is very real. Additionally, the advancements in drone technology could reshape the way we think about combat. From surveillance to direct attacks, drones offer a way to engage in conflict without risking human lives. But this also raises serious ethical questions as the line between soldier and machine becomes increasingly blurred. And then there's the specter of nuclear warfare. With several nations possessing nuclear weapons, the potential for a nuclear conflict is unfortunately a terrifying reality. A single nuclear strike could result in unimaginable devastation, and a full-scale nuclear war could quite literally mean the end of the world as we know it. As the war machine roars to life, the world would be forever changed. Its cogs and gears, powered by alliances, technology, and the ever-present threat of nuclear warfare, would shape the course of the conflict and indeed the future of our world. While soldiers fight on the front lines, those at home face their own battles. In the shadow of World War III, the home front is transformed. Daily life becomes a struggle as the necessities of war seep into every aspect of existence. Food, once taken for granted, is rationed, and luxuries become distant memories. Cups of coffee and slices of cake become rare treats, savored in moments of quiet amidst the chaos. Yet the spirit of humanity shines through. Communities band together, pooling resources and supporting one another. Neighbors who were once strangers become lifelines, their shared experience forging unbreakable bonds. In the midst of this, the machinery of propaganda churns. Governments spin stories of valiant heroes and dastardly enemies, painting a picture of black and white in a world that has become a murky grey. Television screens and radio airwaves are filled with tales of victory and defeat, each side claiming the moral high ground while the truth becomes another casualty of war. But as the war drags on, the veneer of unity begins to crack. Tensions simmer beneath the surface, threatening to erupt into civil unrest. People start to question the cost of the war, the lives lost, the homes destroyed. Protesters take to the streets, their voices a chorus of dissent echoing through the empty squares and deserted parks. Yet in the face of adversity, resilience shines through. Children play in the ruins, their laughter a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. Families huddle together, their love a beacon of hope in a world shrouded in darkness. And so life goes on. Amidst the rubble and ruin, the human spirit endures, unbroken and unbowed. The home front is a battlefield of its own, a testament to the strength and resilience of those who are left behind. Even away from the front lines, the effects of war are devastating. But it is in these moments, amidst the devastation, that we see what we are truly made of. And it is here, on the home front, that the true cost of war is felt. In the wake of global conflict, the world would be left to pick up the pieces. Picture, if you will, a world scarred by the ravages of a Third World War. The smoke has cleared, the echoes of explosions have faded, but the impact lingers. It's a world where nations are left to grapple with the aftermath, to rebuild from the ruins, and to find a way forward. The rebuilding process would be monumental. Entire cities would need to be reconstructed. Infrastructure, decimated by the war, would have to be restored. The global economy, disrupted by the conflict, would need to be stabilized and revitalized. But it's not just about physical reconstruction. It's about rebuilding societies, healing the emotional wounds, and restoring faith in humanity. It's about dealing with millions of displaced people, the loss of loved ones, and the trauma of war. It's about rebuilding trust between nations, fostering cooperation, and restoring peace. There's also the potential for a new world order. Power dynamics could shift dramatically. Nations that were once dominant could find themselves weakened, while others might rise from the ashes stronger than before. The geopolitical landscape could be redrawn, with new alliances formed and old rivalries rekindled. And then there are the lasting effects on humanity. The psychological scars of war could linger for generations. The environment ravaged by warfare would need time to heal. The cultural and societal norms could be forever altered. The advancements in technology driven by the needs of war could change the way we live. But amidst the devastation, there could also be a glimmer of hope. The aftermath of such a war could serve as a stark reminder of the horrors of conflict and the importance of peace. It could inspire a new commitment to diplomacy, to conflict resolution, and to a world where war is not the answer. World War III would leave our world forever scarred, but it is a future we can and must strive to prevent. As we reflect on the grim possibility of World War III, we must ask ourselves, what can we do to prevent it? We've journeyed through the unthinkable, the initial sparks that could ignite such a conflict, the immediate fallout that would ensue, the relentless gears of the war machine, the impact on the home front, and the sobering aftermath. Let's revisit these key points briefly. The first sparks of World War III could be ignited by escalating tensions between global powers, with the potential to rapidly spiral out of control. The immediate fallout would be devastating, with the potential for mass casualties and widespread destruction. The war machine would then kick into high gear, with nations mobilizing their resources and manpower to engage in a conflict of unprecedented scale. The home front would be drastically affected, with civilians bearing the brunt of the war's hardships. The aftermath would see a world forever changed, facing a long and arduous road to recovery. Yet, in the face of such grim possibilities, we must not lose hope. We can and must explore potential solutions to global conflicts. These may involve fostering greater international cooperation, promoting dialogue and diplomacy over militaristic posturing, and working towards disarmament and non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. As global citizens, we all have a part to play. We can educate ourselves and others about the realities of war, advocate for peace, and hold our leaders accountable. We can support organizations that work towards conflict resolution and champion initiatives that promote understanding and collaboration among nations. We must remember the cost of war is too high. The loss of life, the destruction of homes, the displacement of people, the shattering of communities, and the long-lasting psychological trauma. These are costs we cannot afford to pay. The prospect of World War III is a chilling reminder of the importance of peace, diplomacy, and international cooperation. As we move forward, let's strive to create a world where conflicts are resolved not on the battlefield, but through dialogue and mutual understanding. We have explored the terrifying possibility of World War III, but it is not a future set in stone. It's essential to remember that understanding history is not simply about delving into the past. It's about gleaning wisdom from the events that have shaped our world and using that knowledge to guide our actions in the present and future. Today, we've walked through a chilling hypothetical scenario, a scenario that paints a grim picture of what could happen if humanity were to plunge into another world war. But the aim of this exploration isn't to instill fear or despair. No, it's to underscore the enormous value of peace and the catastrophic consequences of its absence. It's to emphasize the fact that wars don't just happen. They are the result of a series of choices, decisions, and actions by individuals, groups, and nations. And that's where the power lies. In every choice we make, in every action we take, we are shaping the future. Each one of us, in our own small way, can contribute to a culture of peace. We can learn about the world, about its complexities and conflicts, and strive to understand the perspectives of those who see things differently. We can also discuss these issues with others, spreading awareness and fostering empathy. We can support organizations and leaders who prioritize peaceful resolutions over aggressive confrontations. We can vote, protest, write, speak out, and stand up for what's right. History has shown us the horrors of war, but it has also shown us the power of peace. It has shown us the devastation that comes from hatred and division, but also the progress that can be achieved through understanding and cooperation. In the end, the course of the future is not a foregone conclusion. It's a path that we forge with every decision we make. And while we can't control everything, we can control our own actions, our own responses, our own contributions to the world. The future is in our hands. Let us strive for a world of peace, not a world at war.